Thrills and chills, gruesome violence, restless chaps, and Eddard Stark. If you had guessed Silent Hill Revelation in 3D, you'd be correct. That's right, I spent an extra $6 to have a dimmer, blurrier, migraine-inducing movie-watching experience. I personally hate 3D. It doesn't add anything to the experience, it doesn't pull me into the movie, and it doesn't make up for bad dialogue and terrible acting. Avatar, case in point. So why watch Silent Hill Revelation in 3D? Better question. Why watch Silent Hill Revelation at all? I actually have answers to that, because I am a gamer, and honestly, I like the first movie. Silent Hill is a video game classic, along with the likes of Resident Evil, Metal Gear Solid, and Final Fantasy, that showed there were more to video games than just slamming your head into blocks and collecting coins. As a general rule, game-to-movie adaptations suck. But hold on, Ebert. Before you get all high and mighty with your superior art form, remember, the door swings both ways. The best movie-to-game adaptation is the LEGO Star Wars series, primarily because they cut all the shitty dialogue and allow you to cut the head off of Jar Jar Binks with a lightsaber. Your move, Roger. The first Silent Hill film was directed by Christopher Gans. If you don't know who Gans is, you probably don't watch very many French action films that blame the world's problems on religion. But I do. True to form, Gans' Silent Hill carried anti-religious connotations. I'm not arguing one way or the other, but I find it odd that Gans makes a movie deploring religion for its irrational belief in mysticism by showcasing hell, demons, and mysticism as truth. Whatever, the cinematography was beautiful. It captured several of the game's creepy camera angles, and the soundtrack was so perfect they just copy and pasted it onto the new movie. The first film didn't capture the game's plot verbatim, but it took the necessary elements out of the game and made a working movie out of it. But this is where Revelation runs into trouble. It felt more like someone just wrote a fan fiction about Silent Hill 3. A die-hard fan will probably appreciate the subtle nuances of blood-stained rabbits and why having the lead pipe in her hands was so important. But the average moviegoer is probably confused as why we're walking around mannequin warehouses. Honestly, in part because I'm confused as why we were walking around mannequin warehouses. The film is extremely plot-driven, but the plot is complete nonsense. Once again, the Silent Hill fans might be able to fill in all the blanks from the notebooks and clues that are still in your inventory. But objectively, it's just a bunch of melodramatic with a collection of named actors who did one day of shooting and then washed off their makeup for their outdoor pools. I mean, don't get me wrong, I loved Malcolm McDowell and Carrie-Anne Moss as Irrelevant Plot Twist 1 and Irrelevant Plot Twist 2, but Eddard Stark not getting his head chopped off? That was a real downer for me. It's quite literally a carnival ride, meant to swish you around, take you up, and bring you down. A roller coaster put together by shifty vagrant workers with questionable motives. This isn't a movie that should be compared to The Godfather. This is a thrill ride that should be compared to the 3D Spider-Man ride at Orlando. And thanks to 3D, all the blood, blades, and Pop-Tarts are splashing out onto the screen like a Gallagher show. But Revelations were nowhere to be found in Revelations. Everything was already out there on the table. We knew there was a demon child, we knew there were BDSM cultists, we knew that Eddard Stark was chained up somewhere, and we knew that Sharon was the only true hope. So instead of actual suspense, let's just throw monsters and blood confetti at you. And they did just throw them at us. Not in the 3D sense, but in the, I don't actually know where this plot is going, so let's just make up excuses to fight monsters. All the way up until the very end, where they set us up for Silent Hill 3! Or wrapped up a throwaway plot from the beginning of the movie. I'm still not quite sure. The only interesting part of the story was the intense romantic relationship between Pyramid Head and Buzzsaw Face. You know, Cabin in the Woods has a Buzzsaw Face. I want to see more of this, Hollywood. Give me more Buzzsaw Face. If you were hoping for anything more than a disposable thrill ride, I suggest you look elsewhere. I hear that Netflix has a great selection of horror films that you've already paid for. Final verdict, 4 out of 10 severed limbs.